Hello and welcome to this Kareen Cats tutorial on our Chiefs batting and fielding tool. So this is a tool that's available for any coach, but is primarily targeted towards those beginner coaches or newer coaches that are a little bit unsure about how best to make sure that their players are getting rotated evenly through the fielding positions. So making sure they get an even go around the engine room, the pitchers and catchers, the outfield and the infield. So this tool will allow you to automatically set that up, and then as you get more experienced, you might find that you are creating your own. But certainly in the meantime, this is a bit of a time saver, and you can pretty much be sure that you can manage where your players are going and making sure they're getting into an even number of positions around the space. So I'll first just step through exactly what this has, and then from there I'll go through a dummy example of setting up around. So along the bottom here, we've got different tabs. The one we're at the moment is the batting and fielding tool tab. So this is where you'll do most of your work in setting up your week's gameplay. Next one across is the print game day tab. So when I click on this, you'll see that this has got a very simple, nice black and white page that just has the batting order and where every player will be playing for all of those innings. Now, we've set it up for 12 innings. Obviously, a T-ball game of 1 hour is most unlikely to go to 12 innings. In fact, it shouldn't be going to 12 innings. But just making sure there's heaps there so you're never going to run out. And so this is also set up so print off one page, cut it in half, one for the coach, one for the manager, and you should be good to go from there. So that's the printing the game day one. And as I said, we'll get back to how to set that up in a moment. I'll jump across, leave this one for the moment, and leave that till last. The fielding rosters. So this is an editable page. This is where all that data that you saw in the game day tab here, where that comes from. So it's been set up so that if you've only got 9 batters, what would it look like? 10 batters, 11 and 12. So all the different variations of players that we have. And all that is pulled from there. Now this is completely editable. So if you are an experienced coach or a coach that looks at this and says, well, that's not how I would lay it out, you are more than welcome to delete these and edit them and add them in exactly how you would like them. So that's completely your prerogative. But you would do that at the start of the season. You wouldn't go changing anything once the season started, so that your statistics around fielding don't get mucked up too much. And I'll show you what that means in a moment when I get to this yellow tab down here. The last two ones are just for you. If this first one's the fielding roster's locked, looks exactly the same as this one, except it's just that if you edit this one and change it and you decide you don't like it and you want to go back to it, there's just a copy here that you can highlight, copy, paste, and paste it back over the top of this so that it's all back to normal. And finally, if you don't like the game day one that you've got here, you can always use the blank game day sheet here and fill in your own lineup. So and everything that you do here, you'll see flows through to the second one, so you're not having to copy twice. So that's the different tabs that you've got here. The other tab that we have here is the season fielding data tab, which I did say I would leave till last. All this one is this brings up the statistics around exactly where each of your players have played so far this season and gives you a percentage of how many times they've played in the engine room, the infield, the outfield, or sat on the bench. So that's very useful for if you are trying to make sure that you have equality across the board, and also B, if you have any parent queries around making sure that you're being equitable there as well. So to make this work, as I said, to make sure this works, once you've set your season up, you wouldn't be changing this because it will change everything in here, and you also wouldn't be changing your order here that you've listed your players in. That doesn't mean you can't change your batting lineup, and I'll show you that in a moment, but that list that your players are listed in, you don't change that either, because otherwise that will obviously change all of this data in here. So I'll come back and look at this again a bit later in the sense of what happens after a game and how you might look at that and use that, and also before a game. And we're going to have a bit of a go at setting up our round 12. So you can see I've got some data in here for our Music Masters T-ball team. We're about to enter round 12, so we're 11 rounds in. Had a pretty good start to the season. First thing I'm going to do, and you can see here, I've got Music Masters T-ball team. I've entered that in. I've entered the name of the coach, entered the name of the manager. I'm up to round 12. I'll hit this drop-down button here, choose round 12. I can keep scrolling for the other rounds, but you can see here I'm up to round 12. Change that to round 12. Two tabs here to start with from last week's game. The first one is how many innings were played. So we need to know how many innings were played so that for this data, it doesn't count all 12 of those innings as being played. It says, oh, you only played 5 innings. Not a problem. I'll only record the first 5 innings of where they played. So I'll come back to here and I'll put we only played 5 innings. And for me personally, I like to keep the same batting order for my team wherever possible throughout the season. So I work very hard early in the season to make sure I've got a batting lineup that I'm happy with, whether it's a stronger player, a big hitter, then a directional hitter, a big hitter, a directional hitter, so that there's a bit of back and two all the way through. So I'll try and keep that the same all the way through. So because of that, I want to make sure that I'm starting my batting order at a different place each time. So I know by having back a look at the scorebook that the number 4 batter was my last batter, which happened to be Justin Bieber. So I know that this week, when I go to start setting up my round 12, my first batter is going to be the one after Justin. So I'm going to put a 1 in there with my keyboard, 2, 3. I could use the drop down here if I wanted to. Don't have to. 6, 7, and I'll come back up to the top. 8, 9, 10. If I had someone away, you can see where Justin was away here or Adam over here. I've just left that blank. All right, so that's not a problem. If I make a mistake in here, so let's say over here I accidentally put 2 3s, it will tell me. So you'll see I'll get a bit of a warning here that says you've missed something here. You've missed a number because I don't have the number 4 there, and you've used a number twice. So that's just if you see that all red, it's a little warning that you've messed up something. You've left something. So again, if I put an 11 here, I haven't got number twice, but it just says, hey, you've missed a number. All right, so that's useful as well for you. Most of the time, or a lot of the time, that's as much as you're going to need to do. Because you put your batting order in for last week. When I come now to my game day, you can see it's automatically set it up. So Billy, who I had here as my number 1, and my last batter is Justin. You can see here, Billy is number 1, and Justin is number 10. And then it's pulled from this editable thing here. Okay, you got 10 batters. Right, that's the order that we're going to run with. I'm going to take those. So it's run them all the way through. And that could be as much as you're happy to do. However, what I also like to do is have a look at the fielding data. And I'll have a look. This doesn't count the data that's in for today's game day at the moment. This is so far in the season before the game that we're about to play. And I can have a look through this and say, well, is there any inequalities that I need to try and sort out? Is anyone getting overplayed somewhere? Actually, if you have a look at this, Justin has got 10% on the bench, probably because he's missed a game as opposed to the 9%. But down here, I've got Miley Cyrus here, who's only been on the bench once so far this season. If I jump back to my game day, I can see Miley Cyrus, 1, 2, 3. Well, it's not till the 6th innings that she's going to get a rest. That's probably why she hasn't had many rests, because there haven't been too many games that got to the 6th innings. And it's just missed out the way she's been going. I need to fix that up. I can't, because we're probably not going to get to 6 innings in tomorrow's game either. So I need to sort that out. I can come back to here and I can have a look at this. I can say, so where is it that they get rest? So poor old Justin, he's going to be off in the first innings again, straight away. I wonder if I can get that so that I can get that next batter a little bit closer to here. I might start by making sure that Miley comes off first innings. So I might make her start off. So I'm going to come back to here. That's the 6th innings. I'm going to start my lineup today. Not from the first innings, but I'm going to start it from the 6th innings. So now that I'm starting from the 6th innings, and I come back to here, I can see that, there we go, Justin's not off. Miley's having a rest first, then Sean, then Post, then Taylor, all the way through. Now Justin's at the 6th innings. He's unlikely to get to have to go onto the bench again. That's great. I'm happy with that. Right. So now I've played my game. I've printed this out. We've played our game. We've come back. All I now need to do is enter my data from here, and I can see my most up-to-date data on here. Now I've got a few things to point out here. First of all, we played 5 innings. And my number 3 batter was my last batter. So there we go. We've got through 5 innings. Now, when I come back to here, you can see right here that, great, Miley's up to 2 at least. And I probably still need to target Adam and Miley a little bit more. But as it happens, in today's game, Miley actually had to go off because she got a bit injured. So Miley had to go off, and Ed, who was supposed to be sitting on the bench, he's up to 5 now. I need to watch that. I made sure I pulled him off. I sorted him out and put him back onto the ground. So you can see here, I've got Miley Cyrus here. She actually had to go to the bench one more time. So in this manual updates sheet, I can add any changes that were made here, and they will show in here. So Miley actually did go to the bench here. There we go. And Ed came on. All right, so I'll put him back to -1. Well, it's actually 0. All right, and then Ed went out to left field, and Miley came off from left field. And you'll see that all those little things are just updating. So if you really want to make sure you're keeping right on top of everything there, you can do that, and it will update in here. But that really, in a nutshell, is how the batting and fielding tool works. So hopefully you find that useful. And yeah, any feedback you've got to it, you're welcome to email us at Kareen Cats, and we can take that on board. Thanks.